We share this precious planet together that we all came to and will inevitably leave behind forever. So, how was life before that decision? And how will it be after? The answer to those two questions is the same. Life guarantees that each committed journey has all the preparation before and debriefing after that the participant could ever possibly wish for. This makes our shared temporal reality, which itself is an infinite universe in space and time, a path that we sketch for ourselves to travel. And because the source of all life is a moving infiniteness, the goals pulling at the fronts of our mindful intentions are each of our singular, infinite, consequential outcomes that are set in stone. You may not be able to change what happens to you in a present time, but you set up the how, when, where, and whom of that occurrence long ago. Your job is not to do enough good in the world. It is to navigate one's options and search for that which is not wrong. You are free to make a mistake. You are free to not make a mistake. A solid, dense, low-frequency world as our own provides the experiential opportunity whereby great, positive, long-term consequence can result upon your soul. The challenges of not doing wrong in modern Earth society and culture are extreme and all-encompassing. This, although a collective consequence of wrongdoing by people to come and go before us, is a tremendous opportunity for accruing massive amounts of long-term positive karma. Freedom protects itself into infinity. When freedom becomes of themself instead of itself, infinity's majesty returns to the participants. So, know that freedom is your right to pursue what is right. What is right is that which reflects or is already fully returned to permanence. Permanence, shown symbolically on the largest scale of objects in any temporal universal domain as spheres, or planets and stars, is an equality-based, omnidirectionally free objective to pursue or be pursued by. Each radius of a sphere, by definition, is equal in length. There are an infinite amount of radii in a sphere. The reason this is possible is because of the outlining form of a sphere, which is a never straight curve. This curve is the same which each person travels across their lifetimes. A sort of constant change in direction is required to continue forward unceasingly. This path inevitably loops around and returns to any position it was at before, and thus the eternity of living is established. The path around the eternal loop itself has an unchangeable framework. This framework manifests as each individual's entire life taxonomy of form. Something the average human must face is that all people are animals, and all animals are people. Every animal form is an accessory to a personal form. Every temporal person is an accessory to that same permanent person. You can think of it as if their truest personal self is asleep in the permanent realm, experiencing a natural, infinite, simulated domain in one of their biological forms temporarily. Death is the return to the permanent realm without any temporal realms inhabited. The next birth would be the next form of their eternal taxonomy, and so on. Each person has a unique pattern of forms that is only shared by one other life partner. Each couple travels through their morphing biological taxonomy of life with only one other entity that is not themselves. All other friends or enemies made along the way are temporarily experienced, although accessible longer than one may think. This experience of duality is a direct reflection of singular existence, because all existence never began or ended, and all existence is experienced by an observer. The singular beauty of the individual is always present in the omnidimensional space-time environment of experienceable reality. The two cannot be divided. The one already is divided, and divisions of infinity have that entire infinity within them, like shattered mirror pieces breaking into as many reflections of the observer as there are pieces. What allows any reflection is light. Light is something to learn from. Our permanent reality is fundamentally a holographic one. Each temporal domain is a virtual holographic reality. The reflection of any universe is of the permanent realm, whose magical and divine nature is literally made of freedom. Remember, we are free to pursue what is right. All other pursuits are not freedom, but sickness. This is because your true will is to do what you set out for yourself before conceiving and birthing into a temporal domain. And the pure, permanent realm you came from is one of infinite ability and space. For example, if a stranger were to pursue you against your will, you could teleport to a point in space instantly that they couldn't. There is always more space to port to. This is possible because of the unimaginable wide-scale breadth of the nature of infinity. Another example is if a stranger were to attempt to violate your body or property, where you could manifest a sort of impenetrable energy shield. The reason impenetrability always overcomes any level of invasiveness is because of the eternal uniqueness of each individual. A person invading another is attempting to take, change into, or manipulate what never was, isn't, and never can be what they themselves are. The uniqueness of a single person outshines all other lights. Natural diversity, no matter how extreme, is to be celebrated. Another example to explain is that the immovable object does not give way to the unstoppable object because a metric of zero movement comes before a metric of any movement. The unstoppable object moves around the immovable object because it is the only one of the two that can move. Movement, as explained before, implies a constant change of direction. It is through the change of ourselves into our different cycles of animal and personal form that we may learn what it is like to return to the ultimate personal form, which is the next form of living humans. The most common image of an ET person in our culture is the larger-headed, larger-eyed, smaller-bodied person. This mammalian form is the most appropriate and naturally present ET species to assist our smaller-headed, smaller-eyed, larger-bodied selves. We are not evolving into this ET form. Instead, we have our own unique form as a species, whose evolution does involve a slightly larger head and slightly larger-eyed self, including smaller nasal and mouth structures, as consumption of food and needing larger airways will be less necessary as we become more mind and thought-centered. It is appropriate that the current ET presence is close but not the same to our form because we would not be able to handle the extreme difference of a more diverse form, such as a reptile or insect ET person quite yet. The differences between these larger-headed ETs and ourselves is so that we understand we will be learning to calmly partake in extreme diversity on a regular basis throughout the cosmos. It should be noted that this applies to each other civilization that is nearing the same transition into this ET reality that we are. For example, a planet of reptilian people with smaller heads like ourselves would be introduced to the universe by bigger-headed, smaller-bodied reptilian ETs, respectively. This also means that the mammalian species with larger heads and smaller bodies were introduced to the universe by civilizations of our own ET form of smaller headed, larger bodies. Yes, our exact kind of people already have evolved fully in each and every infinite temporal realm. These similar people will freely interact with us openly, as well as we learn the many lessons we have in front of us. After all, the totality of existence does have a form. It is just too complex to know and understand when you are not transitioning or already within the all-knowing ET, more accurately called permanent realm reflecting form. This ultimate form can know things no one on this planet knows yet. There is always more to learn than there is currently known. This can give way to the appreciation of mystery in life, as all mystery is temporary and is a moving return to omniscience.